When running EMT Conduit for electrical installations, accuracy and attention to detail are crucial for a professional and safe outcome. Let's discuss some key aspects highlighted, focusing on the challenges and solutions encountered during the process, referencing the 2017 National Electrical Code, or NEC. Firstly, when dealing with diagonal conduit runs, precision is paramount. A slight miscalculation in the length of the diagonal leg can throw off the entire alignment, particularly when connecting to equipment like emergency lights. The advice to use a measuring tape or laser level is spot on. A laser level provides a straight reference line, ensuring that all measurements are accurate and consistent across the run. Double-checking measurements is essential to avoid discrepancies in distances and angles. Secondly, the topic of rack bending and the presence of doglegs. Doglegs are unwanted bends or kinks in the conduit that can impede cable flow and create stress points in the system. Correcting these imperfections is vital for a neat and professional finish. The recommendation to use a pipe bender with precise measurements and a method to check for doglegs is crucial. Some pipe benders have built-in angle finders, which help to ensure accurate bends every time. A simple method to check for doglegs is to lay the conduit on a flat surface and look for any gaps or inconsistencies. The ability to identify doglegs visually comes with experience, but using a straight edge as a reference can help beginners detect even subtle imperfections. Now let's move on to the EMT runs leading into an adjacent room. The description states that the EMT appeared to be well routed and supported, which is a positive sign. Proper support is crucial for preventing sagging or damage to the conduit. The NEC provides guidelines for conduit support spacing in Article 344.30. For example, for 1/2-inch EMT, support should be placed at least every 10 feet. The box with the temporary light being fed by a larger conduit is also a good practice, especially if there is a possibility of future expansion or changes. Planning for future modifications is a key principle in electrical design. By installing a larger conduit than currently needed, you provide flexibility for adding more circuits or upgrading the system later on. This can save time and money in the long run. Article 300.3 of the NEC covers the requirements for conductors of different systems within the same raceway, ensuring safety and proper insulation. The installation of the Forks 11/16 box requires careful attention to detail. While it's difficult to assess the exact approach used from a photo, it's essential to ensure that the box is properly secured and aligned with the EMT for a secure and efficient connection. Securely attaching boxes to surfaces is crucial for preventing movement or damage, which could compromise the electrical connections. The NEC specifies requirements for box mounting in Article 314.23. For example, boxes must be rigidly and securely fastened to the surface on which they are mounted. Additionally, all connections inside the box must be made properly, with wire connectors that are listed for the purpose. Make sure that all connections are tight to prevent loose wires, which could cause arcing or overheating. Regarding general pointers, let's reiterate the importance of accurate measurements. Using a tape measure or laser level to double-check all measurements can help to avoid discrepancies in distances and angles. It is a simple step that can save a lot of time and effort in the long run. Next, let's talk about avoiding doglegs. Ensure that bends are free of excessive doglegs, which can impede cable flow and increase the risk of damage. Use a pipe bender with precise measurements and a method to check for doglegs. As mentioned earlier, laying the conduit on a flat surface or using a straight edge can help to detect even subtle imperfections. Proper conduit bending techniques are essential for creating smooth, consistent bends without doglegs. This includes using the correct bending radius for the conduit size and type, as well as applying consistent pressure during the bending process. Secure connections are also essential. Make sure that boxes and other fittings are securely attached to surfaces and that all connections are tight. Use appropriate hardware for mounting boxes to different types of surfaces, such as wood, concrete, or metal. Check that all screws and bolts are tightened to the proper torque specifications. Consider future modifications when planning conduit runs. Plan for accessibility and flexibility to facilitate future maintenance or upgrades. Leave extra space in boxes for future additions. Use pull boxes or junction boxes to provide access to conductors for future modifications or repairs. The NEC provides guidelines for box fill calculations in Article 314.16, which helps to ensure that boxes are not overcrowded with conductors. Finally, remember not to be afraid to ask for help. If you're unsure about a particular technique or approach, don't hesitate to consult with an experienced electrician or supervisor for guidance. Electrical work can be complex and dangerous, so it's always better to err on the side of caution. An experienced electrician can provide valuable insights and tips, as well as help you to troubleshoot any problems that you may encounter. The NEC itself is a valuable resource, providing detailed requirements for electrical installations. It's important to stay up to date with the latest edition of the NEC and to understand the relevant articles that apply to your work. In addition to the NEC, there are many other resources available for electricians, such as training courses, seminars, and online forums. These resources can help you to expand your knowledge and skills, as well as stay informed about the latest industry trends. Let's dive deeper into the practical aspects of EMT conduit bending. When making bends, it's essential to understand the different types of bends and how they are used in electrical installations. Some common types of bends include 90-degree bends, offsets, kicks, and saddles. Each type of bend has its own specific purpose and requires a different technique to execute properly. A 90-degree bend is used to change the direction of the conduit by 90 degrees. It is often used to connect conduit to boxes or other equipment. Offsets are used to move the conduit from one plane to another. They are often used to bypass obstacles or to align conduit with other equipment. Kicks are similar to offsets, but they are used to create a small change in direction. They are often used to align conduit with a wall or ceiling. Saddles are used to go over an obstruction such as a pipe or beam. When making bends, it's important to use the correct tools and techniques. A pipe bender is a specialized tool that is used to bend conduit. There are different types of pipe benders, including hand benders, hydraulic benders, and electric benders. Each type of bender has its own advantages and disadvantages. Hand benders are the most common type of bender for small diameter conduit. They are relatively inexpensive and easy to use. Hydraulic benders are used for larger diameter conduit. They provide more power and control than hand benders. Electric benders are the most expensive type of bender, but they are also the most efficient. They are often used for large-scale installations. When using a pipe bender, it's important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. This will help to ensure that the bends are accurate and consistent. It's also important to wear appropriate safety gear, such as gloves and eye protection. In addition to using the correct tools, it's also important to use the correct techniques. One of the most important techniques is to apply consistent pressure during the bending process. This will help to prevent doglegs and other imperfections. It's also important to avoid overbending the conduit. Overbending can weaken the conduit and make it more susceptible to damage. Once the bends are made, it's important to check them for accuracy. Use a level or a square to ensure that the bends are at the correct angles. Also check for doglegs and other imperfections. If any imperfections are found, the bend should be corrected before the conduit is installed. Let's shift our focus to conduit supports. As mentioned earlier, proper support is crucial for preventing sagging or damage to the conduit. The NEC provides guidelines for conduit support spacing in Article 344.30. These guidelines vary depending on the size and type of conduit. For example, for 1/2-inch EMT, support should be placed at least every 10 feet. For 1-inch EMT, support should be placed at least every 10 feet. The NEC also specifies the types of supports that can be used for conduit installations. Some common types of supports include straps, clamps, and hangers. Straps are used to secure conduit to walls or ceilings. Clamps are used to secure conduit to pipes or other structures. Hangers are used to suspend conduit from ceilings or other overhead structures. When installing conduit supports, it's important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. This will help to ensure that the supports are properly installed and will provide adequate support for the conduit. It's also important to use the correct hardware for attaching the supports to the building structure. This will depend on the type of structure and the type of support being used. For example, when attaching supports to concrete, it's important to use concrete anchors that are rated for the load. When attaching supports to wood, it's important to use screws or nails that are long enough to penetrate the wood securely. Once the conduit is installed, it's important to inspect it to ensure that it is properly supported. Check that the supports are spaced correctly and that they are securely attached to the building structure. Also, check for any sagging or damage to the conduit. If any problems are found, they should be corrected immediately. Now, let's talk about the importance of planning for future modifications. As mentioned earlier, planning for future modifications is a key principle in electrical design. By installing a larger conduit than currently needed, you provide flexibility for adding more circuits or upgrading the system later on. This can save time and money in the long run. Another way to plan for future modifications is to leave extra space in boxes. This will provide room for adding additional conductors or devices in the future. The NEC provides guidelines for box fill calculations in Article 314.16, which helps to ensure that boxes are not overcrowded with conductors. Additionally, use pull boxes or junction boxes to provide access to conductors for future modifications or repairs. Pull boxes and junction boxes are enclosures that are used to provide access to conductors without having to cut or splice them. They are typically installed in long conduit runs or in areas where there may be future modifications. When installing pull boxes and junction boxes, it's important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. This will help to ensure that the boxes are properly installed and will provide adequate access to the conductors. It's also important to choose the correct size of box for the number of conductors that will be installed in it. The NEC provides guidelines for box sizing in Article 314.16. Finally, let's reiterate the importance of asking for help. If you're unsure about a particular technique or approach, don't hesitate to consult with an experienced electrician or supervisor for guidance. Electrical work can be complex and dangerous, so it's always better to err on the side of caution. An experienced electrician can provide valuable insights and tips, as well as help you to troubleshoot any problems that you may encounter. The NEC itself is a valuable resource, providing detailed requirements for electrical installations. It's important to stay up to date with the latest edition of the NEC and to understand the relevant articles that apply to your work. In addition to the NEC, there are many other resources available for electricians, such as training courses, seminars, and online forums. These resources can help you to expand your knowledge and skills, as well as stay informed about the latest industry trends. For example, consider NEC Article 517.13 regarding wiring in spaces with medical equipment. And also consider Article 517.30 when you need to have alternate power sources to essential electrical systems. This covers the wiring and protection needed for those situations. And as another final reminder, always use accurately measure, double check those measurements and use the correct tools.